Hey guys, and welcome to another show and tell video. Now, what makes a show and tell video distinct is it means I have a lot of guns I'm going to show you. So unlike an educational video, I'm not going to spend a lot of time going over the finer points. I didn't do a lot of research. This is just bada bing, bada boom. I'm going to show you some guns and then we're going to hit it and quit it. So we're going to go fast and furious. I'm going to try to keep it interesting. But this is generally a couple estates. People passed away or the family just decided it's now time to sell. And by the way, it is a good time to sell because prices are strong. I'm not encouraging you to sell your guns. I'm just saying prices are strong right now, and that's a really good thing. But we do estates all over the country. In fact, over the next 30 days, I'm picking up at least 1,000 guns. I have 3 collections in 3 different states. We'll be going and doing the assessment. And so stay tuned. You want to like and subscribe because I've got about 1,000 guns coming up over the next 30 days. And I'm not going to show you all 1,000. For every gun you see here, there's another 5 or 6 against the wall that kind of duplicate these. But again, I just want to show you one at a time and talk a little bit about each one of these. Every one of them is very collectible and has lots of history for you to research and add to your collection. Okay, the first one I want to go over with you, this is what we call the money shot because this is the rarest. Actually, until yesterday, I didn't even know this gun existed. This one is by far the rarest and most valuable of all the guns that we got in recently. But this one is really 2 guns. This is a K-date Sauer K-98, and this is a G-date Mauser K-98. So I'm a Luger collector, obviously, so I know what a K-date and a G-date are in the Mauser world. And I did know about K-date, G-date Mausers. I never knew there was a K-date Sauer, let alone a K-date Sauer K-98. I'm going to show you this one. We'll take a close-up. This is actually listed by serial number in an article that I'm going to show you. And this is how I was educated as of yesterday about its existence. The K-date, well, K and G were codes to hide the manufacturer date. They also used codes to hide the manufacturer because the Germans were prohibited from making these weapons and issuing them to the army. So the G-date I already went over in a previous video. This is just a gorgeous gun, and the code is S42 for Mauser. You can see the condition of the finish. The proof marks all over this gun are very similar to the proof marks on a G-date Luger. The finish is very similar. Let's take a look at that side. You can see a proof mark here. And what's remarkable about in the Luger world and the K-98 world, every small part is numbered to the gun. This one, the serial number ends in 00. So when you look at the bottom, you see 00. The screws themselves have 00 on them. The bolt, every part on the bolt has 00. Look at the buttstock. That's numbered and proofed. So 1935, they made very few of these. Off the top of my head, I don't know the production number, but they're very, very rare. And I did a video on this before, and I mentioned that this went to the German Postal Service. Now, the mystery solved on this is the Army was not allowed to have weapons. And I mentioned that where could you send weapons that every town in Germany would have one, and that would be the local post office. So they actually had a postal militia, aka part of the German Army, a postal militia that was issued these, and most of them you will find are they went to the postal militia. Now you see here that would be the G-date proofs. You can see the serial number on the brackets. This has the rubber dust cover on it. Even the cleaning rod will be Waffen stamped, and the 00 is on that as well. So everything on this is numbered. It's just absolutely a stunning gun. Probably the most valuable K-98 that I have in my collection until this one came in. Let's take a look at a K-date Sauer made. Again, didn't even know they existed. K-98. Now the receiver is blank, but we do see K's on it. So we'll start off, you can see the proof marks and the serial number. Now, where I got my education was from this article. This article by Bob Jensen. He talks about the Sauer K-98, so 1934. Here's the serial range. So they only made about 7,000 of them, a little more, maybe 7,200. That serial number, the last one made, or the last one recorded, is 7656, and that is the serial number of this gun. So this is actually documented in the article. And just like the G-date, every part is numbered. You see the, actually the Weimar era Waffen stamps. You can see the K there. Also on the bolt, everything's numbered. Every screw is numbered. Here I'm looking under the rear sight, and you can see the K there. Again, all matching, serial numbered. This cleaning rod has a Waffen stamp, and it has the serial number on the cleaning rod. Right about here, it's almost impossible to see, but it's lightly stamped. There's a 56 stamped into the cleaning rod. So even the cleaning rod is original to the gun. You can see on the bottom, serial number, stamps. The screw is serial numbered and stamped. Here you see the wood, the Weimar era Eagle. Here's the serial number to the gun. Extremely rare. I didn't know they existed until yesterday, but a very, very cool find and very valuable. So here's one of the things that I learned yesterday when I was reading, again, from this article. It says only the K-date has this design, and then a G-date went to the design you see on most other K-98s. You'll see this one bar for the front bracket and the middle bracket. Here you see one bar for the front bracket, and there's a separate bar for the middle bracket. So again, unique design only found in this particular gun. Now, I've never seen one before, other than online. I found one online, and it sold some time ago for about $20,000. So that shows the rarity. Now, also unique to this gun, I just have to show you this. This is matching number to the gun, but we see an RFV and a property mark. Well, the Weimar stamps, again, I believe this went to the military, but the RFV was the Reichsfinance Bureau, so it was basically the tax bureau. So again, in order to hide the fact they were building militias, not only the post office, but the Internal Revenue Department also had these guns made and marked RFV. And in this article, it says that if you find one of these guns, most of them have the RFV marking. It specifically says it's deeply stamped into the buttstock. So these next two that I want to talk about are basically unique only because they're common rifles. This is a British Enfield with a grenade launcher added. And then this is a common K-98. It's actually made by Gustav Werk. And you can see that it has a replaced barrel that's looks like it's been spray painted, and they permanently attached and welded a grenade launcher. Now, it will fire a regular round. It's all set up to fire a regular round, but it also is used as a grenade launcher. They shortened it a little bit and added this bipod, I believe, because of one of the criticisms I have of this gun. This is a British Enfield, but this one happened to be made in India. They actually had contracts, India, Australia, and I think South Africa made the same gun. They all have this copper wire wrapped around the stock, and that's because the impact of shooting one of these would, basically rattle the whole thing, and they often would crack or loosen the stock. So they reinforced the stock to accommodate the grenade launcher. This is a heavy piece of metal, and to hold this, it's extreme. It's hard to keep the front end up. So maybe they shot it like this, but this is just overly heavy. I would imagine the design on this one was because of the weight of the front end. And when you add this bipod, it's so much easier to use. This versus this, quite heavy piece of metal. Sure, they shoot very effectively. I'm not sure the distance, but these are two rare and unique guns from World War II. This is the factory code for the Gustav Werke, and then also 1943. This close-up, you can see the difference in the finish. The barrel is marked a little bit differently. That's why I think the barrel was added on. This was blended in, and this is welded on, as opposed to the British one. This is detachable. All right, now we've got these three. These are very cool late war. We looked at the early K-98s, which would be the K-date World War II K-98, and then the G-date made by Mauser. Those were the earliest of the World War II guns. Now we are looking at some of the latest ones made, and we'll start off with this one because this is kind of unique. Again, same maker code, which is Gustav Werke, has the same Waffen stamp. This is 1944. But likely the parts, we talked about this when we talked about P-38s. I would say the parts were made in 44 and put together in 45. You can see the dual tone quality to the finish. This is all phosphate. The barrel, however, that actually could be phosphate. This is blued. The cleaning rod is blued. But it looks like most of this, certainly this bracket, is phosphated. This stock has never been sanded. It is not serial numbered because by 1945 they didn't bother. I do see one light Waffen stamp with the H, hair for Army. But you can see this was made for a sniper rifle. This is the side rail mount, and this is the special safety extender for the it was basically designed only for the sniper rifle, because when you put the scope on, it would cover up the safety normally. They put in an extension on here just for the sniper rifle. Now, what needs to happen on this gun, because a bunch of you are going to want this, this is very cool. I need to find a scope and put it with it, and then I will have a beautiful, although put together by me, sniper rifle from 1944, 1945. You can see the floor plate is phosphated and the screw is blued. That's a good shot of the contrast. The checkered butt plate is unique to the sniper rifle as well. So this is a late war. Here's another late war. Actually, these are known as Volkssturm rifles. You won't see any Waffen stamps because they did not go to the military. They never would have passed military grade inspection, because they were cheaply and quickly made, thrown together. Most likely, these were put together in a concentration camp or an auxiliary factory close to the concentration camp, where they would take forced labor prisoners and transport them to the factory, much as you would see in Schindler's List, where they actually lived at the factory, they had guards at the factory, but they made war munitions at the end of the war. This is certainly late 1945, and this is marked BNZ, which is the Steyr factory, infamous for their slave labor. And it's just a bolt action. They would have, I don't know how many rounds would go in there, but there is no floor plate. You can see the stock is cracked. Probably came out of the factory looking like this. But again, no Waffen stamps, because it does have here is a test eagle. So it was test fired, but not issued to the Army. It was issued to the Volkssturm, which at the end of the war, again, old men, young boys. I see a stamp here. Not sure what that is. I can't read it, so I assume that was some kind of a factory designation. And one more. This actually came with this armband. Talk about Volkssturm. Here's the German Volkssturm Wehrmacht, which basically the People's Army. This strap actually looks similar to a K-98 that we sold not too long ago. The magazine, you'll notice the magazine is an MP44, also known as a Sturmgewehr. So it is a Sturmgewehr magazine. It uses that 8mm middle size round, again smaller than the regular Mauser round. This is made by Walther, and the action is just a simple blowback and feeds the round. It works in semi-automatic, although it does look a lot like a Sturmgewehr in design. But as far as I know, they did not make these in full auto. If you know differently, please feel free to comment. I think I forgot to mention this. This is a Walther model VG1-5. And you can see the crudity of the construction with this, which would have normally have been a bolt, you know, the charging bolt. And look at the welding here and the welding here. You can see these were last-ditch weapons. Now, coming from Walther, they also used slave labor, but I don't believe they used labor from concentration camps, because when the Americans came in, they said that most of the workers were Polish citizens who were brought in from Poland and forced into working in the factories. But in fact, all of the occupied countries, once somebody turned 21, they were drafted into service in Germany to work in the factories. Okay, I have some rifles here from some other countries and other makes and models. I'm going to go, you see some Japanese stuff. I'm going to do that momentarily, but before I lose you pistol lovers, I thought it'd be good to go over some pistols. Now, this assemblage right here is basically a story of the Walther factory. Kind of cool. I just talked about the Walther factory. But the first example, this is a beautiful Model 4. I'll bring that up a little closer. These were used as officers' sidearms in World War I. This one was not, because if it was used in World War I, there would be an imperial stamp on the back of the slide. This one does have Crown N. Oh, and it's marked made in Germany. So this was definitely made for export. 7.65, this is in better condition than most that we see. So early Model 4 made in the 20s. And then, of course, you know, I talk a lot about Walther PPs and PPKs. This one would be next, because this is a 22 caliber. And from the serial number, I would say this is about 1936, 1937. But there's a connection between this gun and this gun. This beautiful box, by the way, you open it up, and you can see this is the 100-year anniversary, and this is a commemorative pistol. This is actually a P5, and you can see when the factory started, and that is the 100-year anniversary. Beautiful gun, beautiful carving on the grip. This is in brand new like condition, and this is the way it came in this box. Now, what's unique about this gun is, first of all, there's no import marks, because in '86 is when they passed the law that all these guns had to be import marked. There are no import marks on this, and the serial number is number 100 on the 100-year anniversary, so that makes this unique. And also, there's no proof marks anywhere on the exterior. All of the proof marks are on the interior, and they did that to preserve the beauty of the pistol. And of course, if you look at this P5, you notice right away how beautiful it is. Check out the serial number here as well, and the front strap. The connection of this one with this one, actually I said I think it was 1936 or 37. I actually know it was 37, because this gun is not specially marked in any way. It is a 22 caliber. It's not as minty as that other one. A little bit of schmutzy up here, but front strap is really nice. Serial range. And the magazine is the unique 7 holes for a 22 caliber. It has the 7 holes. That's the earliest version. So the reason I know this is 36, check this out. We have right here, 50th anniversary, year 1936. So this was a brochure that they put in with the gun. Try to keep this in as good a condition as I can. But there's a Model 9 pictured in there. And there's a shoulder holster, so you know that they actually did use the Aka shoulder holster. They were used by some police and certainly by bankers. There's a regular Aka holster. And then you see the Walther PPK. This all came in the box with this gun from 1936. And one more document. This is kind of cool because it has the conversion to 22. This is a 7.65 model PP. Again, came in the box with this gun. And you open it up, and you can see the conversion kit. So this would be like an advertising thing. Hey, you bought a gun, why don't you get a conversion kit to go with it? And it basically is promoting the conversion kit for target practice. So both of these documents, and this actually, it has 3 of 36, so that's March of 1936. This was printed, and the gun was sold soon thereafter. If you watch my videos, you know the pink interior on these boxes are early boxes. The tin will have the full factory on it. They do have 3 dummy rounds, and this one in particular just has some, well, it has the milk bottle oiler, which is early, and then some cloth to clean the bore. Now let's round out our time-space continuum, because we did early Walthers, we did a 100-year anniversary. This one came in, I just like it because it has a beautiful gray grip, and we have a photo here for you to show the progression of the grips. Certainly the brown, what we call mottled look, that was the first variation. Then it went to like a chocolate brown in about 42 and into 43. And then it went to a gray grip in 43 up until early 44, and then they all became this black grip that you see here. Now there's a lot of overlap, so if you have a gun and it's not, certainly if you have an early gun with a black grip, you should swap it out, but otherwise it was a very gradual progression, and they just grabbed whatever was in the bin. They didn't bother, unless somebody special ordered these gray grips, for example. Just beautiful color and a little bit of black in it. Just like the brown grip, it has just a little bit of black until it went eventually all black. And this gun, you can see, is externally numbered on the slide and the frame, and it is Eagle N. And then we have this interesting, this came in post-war. If you look at that symbol, that is East German from the Thalmann factory. He was a famous communist that was captured and executed during the war. And so East Germany named the factory after him. So this was made and imported. You can see the import mark here. This was imported into the United States, but originally was in the made in the Thalmann factory. They often would take leftover parts. So this looks like a World War II frame and slide. They took leftover parts. This one was numbered and then renumbered. So this is a East German Walther PP, probably made in the late 40s, early 50s. And speaking of which, one more. So that previous gun in East Germany, that's where the Zella-Mellis factory was. So it was in the Russian section. So they used the same equipment to assemble P-38s and PPs and PPKs. But the Walther family stayed in West Germany because they were pro-Western ideology. And they set up a new factory, and they partnered with the French. So this was made in the Manhurin factory in France, but they used the Walther label. So you have the French logo with the Walther logo. Eventually, this factory was rebuilt in the town of Ulm. And here's the gun itself. You can see that it's Manhurin, but licensed by Walther. This was done with the permission of the Walther family. You can see made in France. Unlike the East German, was not done with their permission. They used the equipment. That would be considered spoils of war. But this is a typical Manhurin under license by Walther. So we have a little bit of early guns from 1920 through the early war years and then post-war years. Okay, we're done with Germany, and before I move on to finish up these rifles, I have a really cool find here. You all know the Russian Makarov, and of course the Russians then licensed it to be made by the Bulgarians and the East Germans, and several countries made the Makarov. This is a very rare Chinese-made Makarov. Now they did use them for the Army, and the Army would have like 2 wreaths as a symbol. The one with the 5 stars was actually used by the Chinese state security or secret police. So this is a very valuable collector's find and very rare. It's hard to get these into the United States because, of course, there's an embargo, and China doesn't sell us weapons for the most part. But this came into the United States. It has no import marks on it, and I don't see any place where import marks were removed. So this probably came back as a diplomatic gift or in a diplomatic pouch. somebody who is in China, maybe a military attaché or a politician of some kind, or a diplomat, brought this back into the country, and this has been in a collection for a very long time. You see the serial number, and it has one matching mag. This is a matching mag to the gun, and it is in near mint condition. Okay, one more rare Walther. This is obviously a shotgun, double barrel shotgun, and you can see that it's partially engraved, not a real fancy engraved shotgun, which Walther didn't really make very fancy ones. Krieghoff made fancy shotguns that sold for a lot of money. This is a relatively inexpensive working man's shotgun. But it is made by Walther. Many of you probably didn't know that Walther made shotguns. Nice checkering here. But what makes this really rare is, I'm going to take it apart really quickly. If we look under the barrel, we can see that it is Eagle Land proof, which was it was made after 1940. And in fact, right here there is 1140, which means this was made in November of 1940. Of course, that was in, the war had started, and everything in the Walther factory was geared up to make munitions for the German army and for the police. But here in 1940, they did make a hunting rifle for somebody. I can only imagine it would be a special order from a high-end citizen, or perhaps a member of the Nazi Party. You can see they didn't make very many of them because the serial number is in the 2000 range. So very few of these were made. This is very rare. Had to be a special order in 1940, and probably one of the last ones made. Okay, quickly just want to mention these two. This is kind of rare at first glance. It just looks like a regular K-98. The bolt is different. It does say K-98. But it is the earlier model because it was made in 1931. And what makes this rare is it does have the Polish eagle. It's a K-98 that was made in the factory in the town of Radom. And these are very desirable, especially in the Polish collector population. Polish people are very proud of their heritage, and they should be. They made some phenomenal weapons, and so for example, the Viz is very popular with collectors. And these sell for really strong prices due to the collector value. It comes with an original bayonet made in the same factory as my understanding, although it is numbered but not matching to the gun. And then I just want to mention one Soviet style. I would almost call this a carbine, but because it's the size of a carbine, I'll be showing you some carbines here in a minute. This has the attached bayonet, which was an interesting feature. This is a Model 44, so toward the end of World War II, they came out with this design. This one was made in 1947. You see the symbol of the Soviet Union. You see that was imported into the United States. That's the company that imported it. It is a bolt-action rifle, very successful design in World War II. And then this bayonet, you push down, and then it pops up, and again push up, and it'll fit over top of the barrel. Try not to get my fingers in there. And that is one sharp bayonet. But that's one way not to have to worry about, hey, where did I lay down my bayonet? Okay, I want to wrap up this show and tell video with these Japanese rifles. Not this one, but these are all Japanese rifles. Now, for every one of these, there's several more against the wall, but they're kind of repetitive in that they're all basically the same model. This is a good way to show the development of the Arisaka rifle. This one is actually a Type 1, and the earliest ones, back in 1937, Japan was being more and more ruled by the militants, and they were looking to, well, they actually invaded China, mainland China, in 1937. And so they partnered with Italy on this, what's called a Type 1 Arisaka Carcano. Now, Carcano was a Italian bolt-action rifle. That's the rifle that Lee Harvey Oswald used to shoot Kennedy. Very simple design, very, very inexpensive. The bolt is a Carcano design, made in Italy. This safety feature, this bolt is Italian, but the rest of the rifle is a Type 38 Arisaka. So again, they contracted for about 100,000 of these to be made. They're very simple, crude weapons. And what makes these unique is not only the bolt design, but also there is no mum because it was made in Italy. If we take a quick look at the bolt design, you can see this is different. Again, this is the Italian design. You can see the cocking knob is different, and the bolt action, this slot is slotted here differently. So the bolt action is Italian. That makes this a Type 1, very much like the Type 38. Now, I wanted to compare that in size because this was actually the longest rifle of the war. The Type 38 and this Type 1, they were the longest rifle, even though the Japanese people tended to be, on average, shorter than the average Westerner. This is then the Type 99, and we have several of these, but you can see that they shortened it, and I believe that they made the round a little bit more powerful, gave it a little more power, and then compare that to the Type 38 carbine, smaller still. So Type 38 carbine, Type 99 in the middle, and then the Type 38 or Type 1. This one has the monopod still in place. It has an original sling, and you'll see the full mum. You can see that this one still has the aircraft sights intact. Sometimes those are ripped off, and they are missing the dust cover. All of these are missing the dust cover. We've said before, I believe that they just generally threw the dust covers away because they rattled it around, and when you were trying to sneak around the enemy, they would give away your position. So they got rid of the dust cover. They often got rid of this monopod, but in this case, it stayed. So this is a nice collectible weapon. When we look at the carbine, again, it would be designed to be shorter, better for jungle warfare, better for getting around, but this is a Type 38, but the carbine model. And the carbine, I like to compare, that's why I have this M1 carbine versus the Japanese carbine. About the same size. The major advantage of the M1, of course, the 15-round magazine, better than the bolt action. They would say that the bolt action was more accurate. I have found the M1 to be very reliable and very accurate, so I like this one. Now, this one is an Underwood made, which is kind of a rarer maker. But what makes this even cooler is, you see that B right there? This barrel was made by Singer. So Singer made some barrels. It's very rare. They were subcontracted to Underwood. Underwood then put this together using a Singer barrel. Now, what really is surprising is this is on the website and nobody bought it yet. To have a Singer barrel on an Underwood M1 carbine is a phenomenal find. The wood on this is just incredible with a beautiful cartouche, and I can't believe it hasn't sold. But maybe as a result of this video, it'll either sell right away or I'll put it away for my personal collection because this is a very rare M1 carbine. The sling, by the way, you can see that that is original World War II sling. The barrel, you can see in beautiful condition, no bayo lug, so it's original configuration. Marked Underwood here. It has the high wood, which is the earlier design, and it has the flip sight, which is also earlier design. So a plethora of guns here. One thing about our YouTube channel, not only do you learn about guns, but you get a much better vocabulary because we use words like plethora of guns. And the only one that I haven't covered is this one. This you would recognize as a paratrooper rifle. Again, very rare. We did a whole video about the Japanese paratroopers and how they would go into islands and take over the airfield, and that's how they would invade, particularly some of the islands. What makes this distinct is this little, this unlocking knob because it comes in two. Now, there was a Type 1 that had a lever action, just had a lever that closed over, but that didn't work too well. It would break and fall apart. This was an improvement. Generally, all you do is you unscrew it, and the bolt is captured, which means it won't come out. And that was because, you know, you're out in the field, you put this in your pocket, you parachute, you can't find it. now it comes apart and you can't put it back together again. So it's important to keep that bolt together. So they would put it in a canvas bag and parachute like this. When they landed, they would just pop it together. First you have to push the bolt, pull the bolt out, pop it together and screw it in. And you basically, we have a Type 99. This one you can see the monopod. This one is paratrooper. There's a few other small differences, but basically just the ability to take this apart made it a paratrooper model. So they took these right off the factory floor and they turned them into paratrooper models. Now when they took them off the factory floor, they were already serial numbered. And so you see the serial number right here. This is the symbol for the Nagoya factory. I believe in that video we said all of the paratroopers were made in the Nagoya factory. You can also see from the symbol that that's Type 99. That basically says Type 99, and you have a full mum. You also have the front sight with the aerial extensions. And it comes apart. And then after they had this serial number, then they would renumber it. You'll notice that these two separate parts will match. They actually numbered the barrel right here, and it matches these parts. And then they renumbered the receiver right here. So it has the original number when it was a Type 99. Then they renumbered it to be a paratrooper, and you see the 3-digit paratrooper separate serial number, but this is considered all matching. And it is dirty. You'll look at my gloves. These tend to be very dirty because they've been up in somebody's attic for many, many years. They finally make it their way to Legacy Collectibles, and then we bring them to you. It's a great system. Hey, I had a lot of fun doing that. I hope you enjoyed it too. I already mentioned we have about 1,000 guns coming in next month, so you want to make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. And of course, if you're looking for some of these treasures, you have to figure out a way to find our website. So thank you for watching us at Legacy Collectibles. And we look forward to hearing from you. If you have comments or any questions, please let us know. We're happy to work with you.